All right, guys, today we are doing a video on a topic that I've been asked to cover so many times, I lost count. We are going to be taking apart the dash on the Tundra and installing the rest of the AJT products that I got, the climate control knobs, the rings, the trim rings around the climate control knobs, the 4x4 knob, everything. We're going to do it all today. So I'll show you guys what we got to do, everything from A to Z on getting this dash torn apart. A lot of steps, not too bad of a project. Some people are intimidated by it because it is, you know, there are a lot of steps, a lot of nuts and bolts you got to take out, trim pieces are popping off and everything, but it really isn't that bad. So I'm going to break it down for you guys and show you what we got to do to get all these AJT products installed. And, you know, again, we'll cover everything right down to taking apart the 4x4 knob to get that ring on, and you know, we're going to cover it all. So stay tuned, get comfortable. It's going to be a little bit of a longer video just because there are a lot of steps involved, but again, I'll show you everything from A to Z that you got to do to get the dash torn apart and get all these products installed. So all right, let's go jump right into it. All right, guys, before we even get started, let me show you what you're going to need. Just some basic tools. Ratchet with a 10mm socket on the end. You're going to need an extension for the radio, Phillips head screwdriver, some flathead screwdrivers, preferably a smaller one if you have it. If you don't have one this tiny, something like these would work. You just want a small end to them, and then some plastic pry tools. That's basically all we're going to need to get this entire job done. So, all right, let me get the camera set up inside the truck and we'll get started. Okay, first thing we want to do is remove the center console here. If you didn't see my video on how to install these two AJT pieces here, all you're going to do is open up the center console. I've already loosened it just to save a few seconds on the video, but you can use a pry tool, or you could even get your fingers up underneath this rim here. You're going to pop that up. Once you do, it's literally just held in with clips. So you just start working your way down towards the front, and you'll feel it kind of pop as you're going down. You do have to take the shift knob off. Should have done that first. And then once you have that off, you can just kind of pick it up, slide it up over the shift knob there, and you have that piece exposed. So after that, we're going to jump down to the side panel. So let me get the camera repositioned. Okay, next up, we're going to be working on the driver footwell area. You're going to start by popping up this piece here. Again, just take one of your plastic pry tools, start in the back here, and just pop it up. Again, it's only held in by clips. So you just slowly and carefully work your way around and free it up. Slide it out of the way. Now we're going to take this piece off here. To get this piece off, there's a plastic nut right up under here. You can't miss it. I'm not going to show you with the camera. Just again, I'm trying to make this video as short as we can because I know it is going to be a little on the long side. So just go ahead and remove this plastic nut, and then that piece will pop off like that. Set that aside. Now to get this lower piece here down, 10mm socket, there's going to be a nut here. This part I am going to take the camera off and show you a little bit closer. So this is what you're going to be looking at. You have that bolt right there, and then a black bolt above it. This is the one you want to take off, not that one, the top black one. And then there's another one up underneath here. So you want to remove those two 10mm bolts. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Okay, guys, once we have those two bolts removed, the one down here and the one over there that I showed you, you could then take a pry tool. The rest is only held on by clips. So you can take a pry tool or just grab it with your fingers and start working it loose. Again, you're dealing with plastic, so you don't want to be, you know, too rough with it, but just kind of start slowly working around and popping it loose. Now this piece you can just kind of hang out of the way. You don't actually have to remove it. And it does separate. I'll show you real quick. This is what you're looking at once you pop that lower piece off. This piece here is still intact. It separates right there. And it's only held on with these yellow clips. All right, so that's what we're looking at so far. Once you have that done, you can take a pry tool and pop off this piece here. And again, sometimes it's easier just to use your hands. That piece will pop off like that. And then once that's free, you can see this piece will come off there. All right, so we're gonna take that and set that aside. Next up, we're going to remove this panel here that has the start button and the tow haul, and then the piece above it. So again, only held in by clips. You can just use your hands and kind of gently pull it off there. These you will have to unclip from the back. They're just held in. Let me see if I can get my hands in there without getting in front of the camera too bad. You're basically just going to want to unplug these two pieces here, and then this piece above it should pop right out like that. Again, only held in by clips, as you can see. All right, so let me get those unplugged, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, guys, as you can see, this is just held in by those two clips right here, these two wiring harnesses. So I actually use the pair of needle nose pliers to get, it's just a small area to get your fingers in there, but you literally just depress those wire harnesses and they pop right out of the back. So we will need that to put the new AJT design piece around the start button. All right. Okay, next is this black piece around your gauges. And again, it's just held in by clips on both sides, but there's also, you'll see the two holes right up in under here. Those are held in by some of those push pin type things. So you just can push up in there, it'll kind of release them, and then you just pull it out like this. And again, most of this dash is actually just held in with these clips. So you just have to be careful, because again, it's all plastic. So really not that hard. It's just all plastics that you're dealing with. So once we have that out of the way, and kind of a tight spot there, but that's all you have to do there. And really the only reason you have to do that is to free up the middle section here once we get the passenger side done. So I'm just going to leave it there just like that. You don't really have to do much else with it. So you can take it out of there completely if you had, my steering wheel is pushed all the way in, but you actually would be able to remove this all the way if you wanted to, but you actually don't have to. You just needed it to free up this piece here. So all right, so that's pretty much it for the driver side, guys. So let's jump over. The passenger side is a little bit more involved with the airbag down by the foot there, and you know, the glove box and everything. So let's jump over there and I'll show you how to get everything removed on that side of the truck to give you access to the middle section here. Okay, we're going to start by doing the same thing as the driver's side. We're going to remove this foot panel here and the kick guard. So again, just take your plastic pry tool or your fingers. Don't even really need a pry tool for this, to be honest. And just slowly start kind of working it up. It's only held in by them clips. So there it is, set that aside. I've already taken out my Husky liners. Obviously, if you have floor liners, you're going to want to remove them. And again, this has that same black plastic nut up here that you have to unscrew. That's what it looks like. I don't think I showed you the driver's side, but that's what it looks like. You can't miss it up there. Once you have that off, this piece just slides out of the way. And then we are going to start working on this area down here. So let me get the camera positioned maybe a little bit better, and we'll go ahead and get that done. Sorry about the glare of the sun, guys. I'm trying to give you the best view of what I'm actually doing, but I only have two hands, so it's impossible to hold the camera while I'm actually doing this. So once you have these pieces removed, the next piece is going to be this piece down here that basically surrounds the airbag. It's only held in by some clips, so I'll show you once I get it removed. Give you a little bit better of a look. I have LED lighting ran to it, so I have to be careful I don't yank the wire. So it's held in by a yellow clip there, and then it's also held in by these tabs that you can see. There's 1, 2, 3 tabs that you have to they clip in underneath there. So just get your fingers up in there, push the tab in, and it'll pop loose. So, all right, so once that's done, I am going to show you, I believe the airbag is next. So again, let me just check the camera angle. I'm going to try to do this without glare as much as I can for you. Okay, hopefully that's a little bit better with the glare. So once we have this lower piece removed, the next piece is actually going to be this trim piece around the airbag, this other trim piece. This side is only held in by clips. So again, just kind of carefully give it a little tug. Should pop out of there. Hopefully, maybe. There we go. All right, and then this side, the door side, is actually held in by another 10mm bolt. Just like the driver's side, you're going to see two. There's the silver one that has the wiring attached to it for grounding, and then right above it there's a black one. The black one is the one you want to remove. And then once you have that out of the way, it'll just pop out. And then I'm going to set this aside. Just make sure you try to keep the bolts with the pieces that they go to, because you are going to have a few different bolts on the passenger side here. So I'm going to set this piece aside with the bolt. Next up is the airbag. 3 10mm bolts, 2 right here, one down here. You'll see a Phillips head screwdriver, or I'm sorry, a Phillips head screw above it, but you want to remove the 10mm bolts. There's one here, and then one on the outside over here that you can't miss. So I'm going to go ahead and get those removed. And while I'm doing that, guys, the only thing I will say, as you see, I have a car seat here. You can use anything you want. I just put something here just to rest the airbag on once you do remove it, just so you don't stress the wires at all. The other thing too, which you know, I'll make sure I put on the screen in the beginning of the video, but you do want to you do want to disconnect the negative side of your battery before you start any of this, because you are handling the airbags. All right, so go ahead and set something down here just so you don't stress the wires. You probably don't need it, just to be on the safe side. All right, had to reposition you again just to try to keep the glare to a minimum, but give you a good look at what I'm doing. So after the airbag is resting on, again, I have the car seat there. You could use anything you want. To get the glove box out, there is a Phillips head screw right down. God, I can't even see because of the glare. Right here. And then there's a 10mm bolt on this side. So go ahead and remove those. Once you do that, you're going to want to go ahead and open the glove box, and you can see 1, 2, 3 Phillips head screws on the top here. Go ahead and remove those. And then the glove box will pop out of there. I'm going to go ahead and remove this side piece over here just to give myself a little bit extra room to work. All right, so there you go. So the glove box will pop out like that. Once the glove box is out, guys, you can go ahead and remove these 2 pieces here. You're going to want to do the top one first. Again, just kind of pry it out, only held in there by those clips. And as you can see, sometimes those clips are really in there pretty good. So go ahead and set that piece aside. And then this piece down here, same thing, just held in by clips. And it'll pop out like that. I'll give you a look at the back just so you can see how it's held in there. Okay, the only thing left is the middle section here below the radio and the radio itself. So to get this middle section apart, the lower panel with all the ports and the climate control panel are only held in by clips. They can be a little tricky to find a decent pry point, but what I do to get it off, take the skinniest pry tool that you have there and work it between the panel with the ports and the climate control panel. So you, right down in here, you can kind of sneak it in there. And just kind of carefully start separating the tabs. Hopefully my head's not in the way. So just take your time. Again, you're dealing with plastic. I can't say that enough. You don't want to force anything, or, I mean, these clips can be in there kind of tight, but you also don't want to break anything. So once you kind of started getting snapping off, you can take this lower one, finish popping it off, and then you will have to, if you wanted to, you will have to disconnect the lower portion. And again, it's just the plugs from all the wiring harnesses, from the USB ports, the 12 volt, the cigarette charger there, and you know, whatever other ports you have down there. So once that's down, you can then reach up behind the climate control panel and just kind of pull that out there, and that pops out a little bit easier. Then you just have to disconnect the one wiring harness from the back of that, and then there you have the climate control knobs, which we will need to get the AJT pieces on. Okay, once you have the climate control panel removed, the only thing left is the radio. It's held in by 4 10mm bolts that are up underneath the radio here. When you look under here, you'll be able to see them very easily. This is where you're going to need there's 2 of them that you can probably get with just a regular socket, but then there's 2 that are way back. And again, that's where you're going to need, I think this is either a 10 or a 12-inch extension. You can probably get at it with their 6 or an 8-inch, but the longer extension, the better. But again, they are 10mm bolts. So I'm going to go ahead and remove those 4 bolts. And then the radio just pops out. It's held in place with some of those clips once you get the bolts removed. So I'll go ahead and do that now. Okay, as you saw, especially for the 2 bolts that are way back in the back where you need the extensions, when you're unscrewing them, you just want to be really careful so you don't drop them. I have not done that yet. You know, I don't want to say it's hard to do, but you just don't want to drop them and lose them. So if you have one of these if you have a ratchet or a socket that's magnetic, you're good. You won't have to worry about it. Mine, unfortunately, is not. So once I got it to a certain point and it was loose, I just put this extension, this magnetic extension back there, grabbed onto the bolt and twisted it a little bit and came out, so I didn't have to worry about dropping it. All right, so once you have those 10mm bolts out, the 4 of them, now you just put something down on your dash here, something soft that you're going to put the radio on. I'm not going to disconnect the wiring harness or anything. You don't have to for what we're doing. So we're just literally just going to lift it out. It's only held in there with them clips. We're going to pull the radio out and kind of just flip it up onto the dash there. So just grab it up underneath here and just kind of work it, and there you go. It'll pop out and you can just flip it right up on top of the dash. Now once you do that, now you have access to this panel here. So this entire silver panel is only held on by clips. So I actually am, you know what, I actually screwed up a little bit earlier in the video. I am going to have to remove all them wiring harnesses to be able to remove this big silver center piece here. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. Again, you're just unclipping the wire harnesses. Okay, you can see all I did was disconnect the wiring harnesses from the back pieces here. So now we can set this panel aside here. And the only other thing, this piece here, when we remove this silver trim, this is for the climate control panel. You're actually going to have to remove that as well. And that just goes in there by a clip. All right, and tuck that out of the way so you don't yank it when we go ahead and remove this silver panel. So now that we have all the wiring squared away, the only other wire you're going to have to disconnect when we get this panel off is, of course, the 4x4 knob. There's going to be a wire harness on the back of that. But again, this whole piece is just held on by them yellow clips. So just, you know, slowly start kind of working it around. And it'll just pop off like that. Once you get it off, just reach in the back, disconnect the 4x4 wiring harness. Maybe. I'm using a needle nose pliers to do all these wiring harnesses. They're very small clips, so it's just easier to pinch it with needle nose and then remove it like that. So, all right, so once you have that removed there, you can go ahead and remove this whole panel, and then that'll give us access to the 4x4 knob. So, okay guys, so that's basically all there is to taking the dash apart. Again, it's not hard, it's just a little, I don't want to even say time consuming. There's just a lot of steps involved, and people get intimidated by it because, as you can see, the dash is completely torn apart and looks a mess. But it really is not that hard. So if you are someone who wants to, you know, take this piece out and paint this or plasti dip it or whatever you want to do, you know, this is basically all there is to it. In order to get it, these two vent rings here, you do have to remove the entire dash down to this step here, because again, in order to remove this center console piece, you have to remove the trim piece over here and then over here, because they actually hold this piece in. So unfortunately, to get to this center piece, you basically have to do what we just did. So, all right, I'm not going to show you putting it back together. You literally just reverse your steps, plug in the wiring harnesses, you know, just take your time. If you have to watch the video in reverse, go ahead and feel free. And, you know, just that's all there is to it. It's really not that hard. I see a lot of people intimidated by it and don't want to do it. They just think it's really hard. So hopefully this video helped you guys out. I was going to do the AJT trim piece installs in this video, but I'm going to make separate videos for that. I just want to keep this one as short as possible, you know, just for somebody who's interested in just taking the dash apart and not doing the AJT pieces. So I'm going to end the video here. Hopefully it helped you guys out. If you do have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to leave them below. Please feel free to like the video. I keep saying it in my videos. You know, that really does help the channel grow tremendously. Share this with your friends, any Tundra guys who, you know, may be interested in doing this. You know, again, hopefully it helped you out. And any questions, leave them below and I'll get back to you. Stay tuned. I'm going to be doing the AJT trim pieces, the install videos on you know, on separate videos, and I'm going to be doing those next. So, all right, guys. So again, thanks for watching. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.